Hello, Ace Nation! I know it's been a long time since Ace Pro Wrestling has had an event, but I have for you a DVD review of the very first, unless I'm mistaken, Anarchy. This event I attended in the defunct Ace Arena in Union City, New Jersey, and it took place back on August 19th, 2006. And this was like a few months before I started going to Ace, which at the time was known as the AWA of New Jersey. And I believe this was like the first of super shows that Ace would put on every few months. And you'll understand why as I go along here. But I was at this show, as mentioned earlier, and had a great video package to open things up. And the event begins with William Wyeth, accompanied by Giovanni Maranca, and I do apologize for not knowing the other guy who was in his corner, as Wyeth went one-on-one with Sean Walker. My understanding is that the story in this matchup was Walker and Wyeth both came out of the Ace Pro Wrestling school, and from the previous class, or the class before Maranca. And Wyeth was at first known as Will Wyeth, but even John Fallon, who commentated the show with ring announcer Mike Lewis, was saying, oh, make sure it's William Wyeth. Not Will anymore, it's William Wyeth. And that Wyeth was trying to take Maranca and the other student under his wing and try to teach them the right way, or a certain way. Walker hits the ring like a house of fire, doesn't even wait for the bell to ring. Walker does a dive from the over the top rope to the floor onto Wyeth, and I think Maranca and the other guy went down with him. And right in front and sitting right there at the time was future ring announcer Kenny and future ringside photographer Lauren, and right next to them was the departed Mama Fallon. Little flashback there. Also, as the match went on, Walker, I think he eventually had some offense. I forgot how Wyeth turned the tables. Walker eventually hits two ghetto busters, as he called it. I remember that move as the bareback that dastardly Daddy Doring, who was one half of the final ECW Tag Team Champions, he was known for that move. And Wyeth eventually hits an exploder suplex. After Walker hits a moonsault, the unknown student to me, he's up on the apron, distracted referee. Maranca hands Wyeth a chain. He puts it around his fist, nails Walker with it. Referee turns around. Wyeth pins Walker to win that matchup. Second match, we see Manslaughter. This was like his first appearance after the demise of a group he was part of called the Infernal Chapel, which consisted of himself, Wes Draven, Damian Dragon, I believe, was part of the group. Correct me if I'm wrong. Melissa Stripes, and Vincent Valentine, who I guess quit the business or just stopped working on those shows. Manslaughter, this was like the beginning of his of a push that he was about to get, as he decided he was no longer going to be part of a group. He was going to stand for himself, and Manslaughter went one-on-one with the Black Angel. The Black Angel got some early offense in and even hit a bulldog. Manslaughter eventually took over in the matchup, but then Angel came back on the offense. Black Angel barely missed a senton from the top rope, and Manslaughter eventually hits Black Angel with a Michinoku driver. Then he planted him with a second, even more brutally executed Michinoku driver and got the pinfall. And then after the match, Manslaughter pulls the apron up and pulls a body bag from under the ring, and he puts Black Angel in the body bag. And I don't know if the zipper had broken. Thing was, Manslaughter drags the of course, Angel was already in the body bag, and he put the body bag on the floor, and I think he stomped on him while he was still in the bag before walking away from the ring. And in the meantime, the camera shows then it's turned to John Fallon and Mike Lewis said earlier in the week he got to have a sit-down interview with Jay Lethal. And what Lewis talks to Lethal about what happened a few months earlier, where Lethal, I don't know if he was pinned or did not win a match. He was forced out of the promotion, and Lethal, I forgot what he said about Arcadia, who was one of the opponents he was facing on this very show. Pretty quick interview, honestly, that was pre-taped, not done in the ring. But then we have a three-way match for the Women's Championship, as Alicia, accompanied to the ring by then web television champion Arcadia, as Alicia did battle with Melissa Stripes and Alexa Thatcher. Now, the funny thing was, Alexa Thatcher walked in as the champion, but did not come out with a championship belt, so I don't know if there was a new championship belt on its way, because I think Alicia had destroyed the previous belt a few months earlier. Good match by all three of these ladies. Let's see. Alicia Pearl, she attacks Alexa before the bell, and at one point, Alexa had Melissa down for a pin, and Alicia slapped Alexa's ass. That's one for all the perverts out there. And eventually, Melissa hit a German suplex on Alexa Thatcher, and Alicia tried to get a clothesline in or something. Alicia puts Thatcher in the Tree of Woe, or as Fallon said, the Tree of Woe, a la Joey Lawrence on Blossom. And I think before that happened, I think Alicia slapped Alexa's ass again. Another moment for all the perverts out there. Melissa hits an awesome moonsault onto both ladies while out on the floor. Alexa eventually takes hold of Alicia and hits her with her version of a chick kick. I don't know if it was more like a knee strike or what the deal was, and Alexa pinned Alicia to retain the championships. Honestly, these three ladies did have a lot of potential. It's a shame within the next year Melissa Stripes was out of the business. Alicia took a break from the business to focus on her education, and she eventually came back. I forgot what year that was. I think 2009, I believe. And ultimately, I forgot, it was 2011, she retired for good. And Alexa Thatcher, I think was it 2008 or 9, she ended up quitting the business, unless I'm wrong. Anybody know, they can correct me on that one. Next up was a 6-way TLC match for the Light Heavyweight Championship. Now, this was a 6-way matchup contested with wrestlers coming out at different intervals. The match began with Reza and Wes Draven. Here's the rest of the order of entry. Third was Grim Reaper, and he ended up hitting a wicked lariat on somebody. The fourth entrant was Heretic. Wes eventually drop-kicked a chair at Reza. The fifth entrant, Deranged. Reza had suplexed Wes on a ladder. And the final entrant of this matchup was the light heavyweight champion, Pinky Sanchez, who entered last. And then from there, Heretic hit a Uranagi suplex on Deranged on the ladder. Wes Draven tried to do a coast-to-coast, or as Rob Van Dam called it, the Van Terminator, but it got intercepted by somebody using a chair on him. Deranged hit a Code Red onto a ladder, or off a ladder, I'm not sure. Wes splashed Pinky off the top rope through a table. I forgot how it ended, but Deranged wound up winning. The one got the belt, pulled the belt down, and he became the new light heavyweight champion. Then up next, we saw then TNA superstar Sanjay Dutt challenge heavyweight champion Envy. The crowd was pretty much pro Envy in this match, and among the highlights here we have Envy attempted to put Sanjay Dutt into Kata Hajime, more commonly known as the Taz mission. They did a crisscross running the ropes, which we don't really see anymore in wrestling, and Envy eventually tripped Sanjay. They took it out on the floor and into the crowd, and I think Sanjay got whipped into the chairs. Eventually, Sanjay Dutt climbs up to the counter where they were selling, well, the concession stand, as it's called. Sanjay climbs up the counter, and as he's about to do a moonsault, we see a cameo by Mike Morgan himself. Eventually, Envy hits a Pele kick. Sanjay Dutt hit a top rope clothesline. Envy hit a spine buster. Envy hit a Death Valley driver. And I forgot somebody hit a missile dropkick at one point. But the match ended with Envy using a victory roll to pin Sanjay Dutt to retain the heavyweight championship. And then, they did go to intermission at that point, and eventually resumed at the next matchup, which saw Joe Hardway and Brian Brass with Cha-Cha in their corner as they took on the recently reinstated Ecstasy Express, Chris Rockwell and Gavin Quest. My understanding, well, a month before this show, Rockwell was suspended for like trying to bully and pick on longtime Ace Pro Wrestling journeyman Adolfo, who was sitting in the crowd, and I guess that's the same reason why Gavin got suspended in June, unless I'm wrong. But this match was for the vacant Tag Team Championship because the previous champions, Style and Finesse, Rob Vegas, and Mike Donovan, were stripped of the belts, I think because Donovan, I believe, was injured at the time. I could be wrong on that, folks. But the match was on, and the match began with I forgot who started the match, but the two guys had a chop fest with each other. Late in the bout, Cha-Cha enters the ring, hits one of them with a low blow, and hits one of them with a DDT, but that member of the Ecstasy Express eventually kicks out. Chris Rockwell hits a TKO, I believe, on Hardway, and then I think Hardway or Brass is on Rockwell's shoulders, and Gavin Quest leaps off the top rope and basically hits a doomsday knee strike and scored the pinfall, enabling the Ecstasy Express to win the vacant Tag Team Championship. And it looked to me like they were taunting Adolfo after the match was over. Next up, in singles competition, we see Rob Vegas going one-on-one with the good guy, Azriel. Now, as Vegas was coming to the ring for the match, I noticed the departed Mike Morgan Jr., don't know how old he was at the time, holding up a sign that said "Brokeback Jackass" towards Vegas. Now, for Azriel, this was like his first match back in the United States after he toured the previous 3 months in Dragon Gate Pro Wrestling over in Japan. Very good match by both of these guys here, and when I watching that match live, it made me realize that Vegas could have a future as a solo competitor. Azriel ended up ending this matchup with a top rope stomp onto Vegas' head to get the pinfall. And then the final match of the evening was a three-way matchup, as we saw returning for one night only, Jay Lethal, as he took on Web TV champion Arcadia, accompanied to the ring by Alicia, and Mo Sexton. Now, Mo Sexton at this time was not a regular in the company. And the match was on because I think Lethal wanted to come back and he can get Arcadia in the ring again. But Arcadia decided it would not be a one-on-one matchup, so that's why they had Mo Sexton in the three-way. Among highlights, Jay hits the Lethal combination, which was that cartwheel he did into the drop kick. I don't know if that was the Lethal combination. haven't watched this one lately. I'm sorry, folks. But there was a great spot they did where Lethal tried to superplex Sexton off the turnbuckle, but Arcadia stopped him, and Lethal, while hung in the tree of whoa, Arcadia like launched himself off the top rope, super German suplex Sexton off the top rope. I forgot what happened, but referee Matt Bennett eventually ejected Alicia from ringside. Lethal eventually hits Sexton with a top rope DDT while Arcadia was on the floor and scored the pinfall. Almost like Lethal had Sexton pinned. He was like dared Arcadia to come in the ring and break it up, and it didn't happen, and Lethal was victorious to end the show. This was a very, like I said, was a series of super shows they did, because like every few months it seemed like somebody from TNA would make appearances in Ace Pro Wrestling. I mean, like later that year, Abyss made an appearance in a show called Reckless Encounter, which unfortunately was never released on DVD. And I'm sure I'll have some more Ace Pro Wrestling DVDs of shows that I attended, or shows that I even have DVDs of shows that I missed that I was not there for live. So, hope you enjoyed this, Ace Nation. And I hope Ace has a show before 2020 is out. Ace, 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 Ace.